Welcome to the Casual Camping Podcast, your home for the best camping discussion both in and out of the field. Here are your hosts, Tim and Aid.
Hello, you filthy beasts. This is Tim and Aid, and it's the Casual Camping Podcast. We're back! I'm Aid.
And I'm Tim. Honest, it is me.
Tim's joining us from the other side of Hills Owen in England.
Where to go tell everyone where I live.
What's that postcode again, Tim?
At least I'm not deed.
Thank God. Thank the Lord.
Heavens to Murgatroyd. Yes, we are back. Thank you, listeners, for being ever so patient with us in letting us take a bit of an extended leave in season 2. But our regular listeners will know we've needed to do that for our own reasons. I've been a bit poorly, and Aidy's just a work shy fop.
Yeah, there's hardly a comeback to that. I'm just going to go, well, yeah, actually nailed to cross there, Tim. I am a work shy fop. But
you are not at all.
While I'm still working for a living for somebody else, we'll pretend that I work hard. I work hard and play hard.
I was just going to say, no. You are a hard-working person. You are still employed by that company, aren't you?
There is 11 days to go.
Oh, you've got to be completely switched off at 11 days to go.
Oh, I'm not quite. I'm not quite. There's still some things, but there is a few emails that are not getting responded to.
At this point, I wouldn't even be reading emails anymore unless it's like, Ed, I've got you this gift. Fancy a pint after work for you leaving. Anything other than that, I ain't even looking at it. It's
well, can I just say that I don't think any of my work colleagues know this alter ego of me. I mean, they know that I go camping and talk about burning things quite a lot, but in spending 19 years in one place, they went and bought me a bloody Yeti cooler.
Boom,
Yeti
boom,
Roadie 15. Filled it with booze and got me a bottle of brandy. And
fantastic. They know
this
you
is
quite
your
well.
life.
They know you quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I might have dropped some big hints. It's an outdoor handbag. Just
Did you do a email all and just send a picture of a Yeti?
Yeah. They heard about my biggest snatch. No,
that's the wrong word you wanted.
That's the wrong word.
You've had a deadliest, big snatch, have you? You heard it here first. Ed's had a really big snatch.
No, deadliest catch, Yeti. Oh my God. Tim, can we stop recording, please?
Oh, no, this is just going out live.
Oh, shit.
That's funny. Oh, gosh.
Freudian slip.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
No,
so, yes, I got
they did really well.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's end of an era. I'm irreplaceable are some of the quotes that I've said about myself.
Now, your leaving do is in Glasgow. Do you need to apologise to the people of Glasgow?
I might have done. Apparently, I was walking around going, Glasgow at people. So, like my parroting, trying to sort of speak like somebody else. Apart from when we met Bella and a fella, and they were like, say Harrogate. And I went, Harrogate. And I went, you don't drop your H's. You're not from Leeds.
I got it right.
You got it right. Yeah.
Harrogate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lived in down south too long. Down south.
Yeah.
So
What's the northern equivalent of a mockney, of a false cockney? What are you? You're like a mock northerner now. You're like
Oh gosh.
plastic. I don't know. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah.
Right in, listeners, on a stuck down envelope. We'll read it out when we, give you an address to send it to.
Yeah, maybe don't. Maybe we could go back to those mediocre 5-star reviews. We'll give you a shout out for one of those.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
speaking of which, we I think while we've paused and things, we've had some amazing messages off people, off some of our listeners. Some people, who message all the time, and we love you to bits, and it's great. You comment on posts and you're active in the group. But actually, we've had a load of messages of people who've never messaged anything, who've never sent anything, never liked anything or anything at all. And we've had some really great messages. And literally, I'm not just saying there's too many to actually read out in an episode. So if you messaged us and gave us some nice comments while we've been off, can I just say a proper heartfelt thank you? Every single one of those has been brilliant to read, and Ed's going through his transition into self-employment. I didn't say you're transitioning.
It's like, do I need to complain about? No, just let it go like the other thing. People are going to put 2 and 2 together and go snatch and transition. What?
Quote of the series.
I'm comfortable in my manliness.
It's a big...
Is that a spider?
I was going to say, it sounds like a big snatch. Sounds like you'd be really comfy in there. Lots of room. But anyway, thank you to everyone who's messaged and said nice stuff to us. I've been a bit poorly, and I'm still getting there. But it's really nice to read all those really nice stuff. There is one guy in particular, though, that did an absolute fantastic 5-star mediocre review, and that's J-Dog, Jason Long, who's out in America. I hope you're safe. You're getting battered by your second hurricane in just a small number of days. So I hope our North America listeners are staying safe out there. But Jason sent us a private message and a video, which I asked him if I could share, which I did share on our socials, and a lot of you will have seen it. And I have to say, in direct response of Jason's message, we are sitting back down in front of microphones again. So thank you, Jason, for being an absolute superstar listener.
Yeah, and I would like to say that it was kind of like the kick up the pants that I think both of us needed. I was out drinking last week when you sent that to me, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, I might have been emotional because I was 3 sheets into a good drinking session with old friends, but it did get me emotional. It really did. So thank you so much, Jason. And just really centered us both, I think, around why we started in the first place. Was just it wasn't for free stuff. It wasn't for this. It wasn't for that. It was having a laugh with my brother, not my mother.
Ain't your mother?
My brother from the same mother.
Same mother. She's not listening.
Hi, Mom.
No, and we did really, because we'd paused because of the reasons we talked about, but we'd never actually set a time scale for pausing. And life is really busy, and your stuff's really busy, what you got going on. My stuff's really busy, what I've got going on. And it was like, actually, that message really made us sit down and talk about, well, are we pausing? Are we ending season 2? Are we ending the podcast? Are we starting again? What are we doing? And it just reminded us, really, as Jason said, it's really hard to find a good camping podcast, because actually so many of them are incredibly boring, where they talk about the flow rate of this stove and how long a gas bottle is going to last you, and the time it will take in milliseconds to boil this water. And I don't want to listen to that crap. because it bores the hell out of me.
So while we aspire to be less boring than that, I guess some days we might. This is as good as it gets, listeners. Okay.
Yeah.
Lock in, giggle along if you want, criticize us and swear at your podcast radio speaker type thing if we're getting it wrong. But we're having a laugh while we do it. So
we are.
Well, thank you so much for reminding us of that. We knew it anyway, but it was just having the headspace to be able to do it. And I think for you, you made a really good point, Tim, that actually you're not at work at the minute. And actually, how can you be,
I need
getting
something
out?
to do. I can't. My camping, I'll be honest with people. My camping season is over for the year. I won't be going camping again this year. Highly unlikely. I know, but it's sensible. I
just stay off the heroin, Tim.
I'm not on the heroin, Eddie. I do have people who work with me who listen to this. I am not, and have never been on the heroin. The crack cocaine, mind you, is awesome. Don't do drugs, people. Don't do drugs. Don't. I've never done drugs. I don't do drugs. It's real ale is my only drug. And I'm not really drinking a lot of that either because I've got to be a bit sensible at the moment. So life's a bit vanilla right now. It's a bit rubbish, but yeah.
Anyway,
I had lots of time, so actually, let's get back into this and see how it goes. I mean, that said, this is a one-off one because I am actually managing to get away for a couple of weeks to just recuperate somewhere else. So we're not going to be able to put an episode out for another couple of weeks. But we thought, what the hell? We're not going to make you wait those 2 more weeks. We're just going to slam you with an episode this week and throw it at you.
Slam dunk.
In your face.
In your face. So, Tim.
Yes, go on then.
Regale us with what we are talking about today that is in the camping theme.
I feel like I should have some kind of lute or something
blink, blink,
at a Renaissance fair. Forsooth, Lord Adrienne. Oh, sorry, you haven't transitioned yet. It's well, it's autumn.
I can hear Richard going, "Princesses evermore."
Oh, actually, we got to say a big thank you to Richard and Chaz who've picked up a lot of slack for us on on the Facebook socials on the group. Serious thank you to both Richard and Chaz for doing all the work that they've been doing. Superstars as they are. We owe you a beer when we can finally get out in the field and see you.
Oh, Tim, you've just offered up me because, if you're not going camping, they're going to see me before thee.
Yeah. So I've just offered up your beers.
Well, I've got some Carling in the fridge.
Ouch.
I know. I'll offer them out.
I wouldn't wash in that in lockdown.
Well, I mean, it's winking at me. It's winking at me. It's like, it's like emergency beers. I'll drink everything else before I get to that.
No, what you want to do is you want to get 4 deep in your nice stuff, and then you're not going to taste anything then. So then switch on to that. Drink your nice stuff first.
Top tip from Tim.
Yeah, there you go.
Top tip from Tim.
Oh.
Is that how you drink champagne over in here, Zuin? You get the good stuff out first of all, and then by the end of the second bottle, you can open the pomade.
Yeah. And by the 5th bottle, you have the baby sham. Oh gosh.
Anyway,
oh man.
So
we did actually have a topic. We did actually have a topic this week. It's autumn. And actually I'm sitting here at the moment and there is a lovely blue sky and the sun is shining, and in the sun it's actually quite warm. But it's it's that time of year that ends most people's camping seasons. So a lot of people who are family campers, summer campers, nothing wrong with that. They get to this point, the weather turns, it gets cold, it gets a lot wetter, and people start to think, well, I've probably had my last camping trip. September, October's my last camping trip till probably next March or April. Sometimes it's May that people push it to, and they're putting their kit away. So we were going to talk about, for those people who don't go winter camping and don't step into the deepest, darkest months of December and January, what should you be doing with your equipment now so that it's in good nick when you come to unpack it from whatever orifice you've stuffed it into when you want to go camping next year?
So yeah, I was just thinking when you were saying all that of Jason's excellent video, J Dog, out in the sticks, and he's not putting stuff away. He had a gas heater on in his tent.
Yeah, I clocked
Had,
that. He had a
one
nice
Tigris, lovely tent there. Just what a lovely setup. And that, if anybody's not seen it, go find our socials. Go find Jason's video. That I think is the bit that I'm longing for over this next season. That has made me go, I don't want to put my stuff away. I don't want to. And now I've got winter camping stuff. I'm off camping with my mate Chris in a week's time. Looking forward to it so much. But what do you do with all your stuff to make sure that it's fit, healthy, whatever? Tents, Tim. Let's start with tents, eh?
So what I do, I mean, I've got tents I use in summer, tents I use in winter. I am a man of many tents. I bought some of you know I bought a cheap Vord for 30 quid. I've actually spent a little bit of my time off work putting that back together and getting it sorted, which is pretty much what you should do if you're packing stuff away. So first and foremost is make sure it's clean. And I know we're all packing up on a campsite, and it might be chucking it down and everything else, and you've got to pack it all away and that. And yes, you should get it out and sort it out when you get home, but you don't always. Unpack it, make sure it's nice and clean, get the mud off the bottom. There was some discussion this morning about whether or not you should use a footprint on the. Have you frozen or have you had a stroke? I think he's frozen. He's not had a stroke. Oh no, he's definitely not had a stroke. He's back. There we go. You definitely froze for a bit there, but it's all right. So I was just saying, there was some discussion this morning on the group chat about whether or not you should use a footprint, and most of my tents do actually have a footprint. And
I bloody love a footprint.
Yeah,
I love a footprint.
It just stops your tent from getting properly wrecked. I mean, it adds an extra layer of protection under your tent in case you haven't got all the rocks out the way from where you're putting your tent down. But it saves it from all that mud, and it's so much easier to clean a footprint than it is to clean the bottom of your tent. Top tip: get a footprint. If you can't get a footprint, get a tarp and shape it how you need it. But a footprint is so important. But clean all the mud off. Get inside the tent. Give it a good sweep out, a good clean out, because there's always bits of grass and dust and
turn it inside
spiders.
Out and stuff. Yeah.
I literally put the inner of that Vord in the washing machine because clearly nobody had slept in that for a while. It stank, I have to say, and it wasn't very clean. I turned it inside out. I shoved it in the washing machine, and it was great. I then actually waterproofed it, even though it's the inner, because I thought, why not? So I put it in again and waterproofed it, and then properly dried it out. And there's a bit of maintenance to do on it as well that I've still not quite done. So go around your seams, go around your zips. Is there anything needs a little bit of needlework, a bit of sewing on, just a bit of simple maintenance? Because if you do it now, you won't be kicking yourself in May when you get that tent out and you want to go camping. You're all excited just to go, and you won't remember to do any of it. And if it's caked in mud, it'll just be rank.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've had mates that just, go camping and they get the tent out the next time. They've not dried it out properly and things like that,
Yeah.
which it so wrecks tents. It breaks down the fabric. You get the plasticized sort of non-rip stuff that starts to come away from it. So it just gives
Mm.
your tent a better life. The other thing that you should also do is all of the stuff sacks that they go into, if you can, if you've got the space, that they should be taken out of the compression stuff and just if you can put them on a shelf or whatever without those bags in it, the fabric will last a bit longer. It's
That's a
allowed to.
that's a really good top tip, just to let it rather than
Yeah,
have it under compression all the time. It's like
yeah,
it's like your self-inflating mats, isn't it? If you've got the space, you shouldn't store them rolled up. You should store
yeah,
them flat all the time.
yeah.
And that's not just for long-term storage.
Who's got the space, Tim, for that?
I do.
Ah,
I've got space for the single ones. I haven't got space for the Empire monster mat. That's just too damn big. It's so that's staying compressed, sadly. But the single ones, they as soon as I get home, they're unrolled and left with the valve open, and they just lay there. I'm lucky. I've got a garage, and I've put a mezzanine floor in as a gear loft, so most of my camping gear all goes up on this floor.
yeah.
And there's enough floor space then to kind of lay stuff out. I don't do that with the tents though. That's a really good point. I don't do that with my tents.
Yeah, and I think I think for the modern man-made fabrics and stuff, I think it's less important for the cotton ones, but you all see where the creases are and stuff. Those are tension bits, and those plasticized man-made stuff that'll
Mm,
make it where it's a bit more fragile, maybe over time, if that's constantly creasing and creasing and creasing,
yeah.
But yeah, somebody told me years ago that you should also do that. Sleeping bags, although they come in compression stuff, if you want to
Mm.
get the best out of them, you actually don't compress them. Um,
I,
if you can leave them open, but if you can't, that they should be in a wider bag, which a lot of the good sleeping bags come with now, don't they?
I was literally just going to say that a good quality sleeping bag that you might have spent a decent bit of money on it. They normally come with two bags: a storage bag that's quite big and open. It's normally like a net, and
And
then
that too.
hey
Way.
hey, she got a wide snatch.
Oh, I must apologise to our female listeners, of which there is many, Tim,
I know there is. I know. I know.
with your misogynistic language.
All right, we can start talking about Todgers if you like. Oh god, no. So most of them do come with a larger sack and a compression sack. I'm
Still
sorry.
still talking about touches.
What we're going to
You had to
rename
say the word sack.
a compression scrotum. I think we just lost whatever listeners decided to stay with us.
This week you have no downloads.
Oh God. Oh, I do apologize. Oh God.
Yes.
But yeah, if you can do that with your sleeping bags, moving on. If you can do that with your sleeping bags, then yeah, I am lucky I have the space. My North Face cat's meow always goes back into its larger sack and
So
is
here's another
breathable.
thing then.
Mm,
Let me ask you about your garage mezzanine. Is
cool.
that temperature controlled? Because I don't put my tents outside because they'll get damp over the like just getting warm and cold, below zero kind of things. So my tents all
Yeah.
stay in the house.
So it's not, but it's better than a shed. So it's a
of course.
proper, brick built, proper roof, full electrics and everything like that. It's not heated. Although if I am in there in the colder months, I put a fan heater on. But it doesn't get cold because we kind of store some plants in there over winter. Like we've got a banana plant and stuff like that go in there. So it doesn't ever drop down below zero. Doesn't even get close to it. So it's reasonably stable temperature. And but yeah, no, it's I hadn't really thought about that. But there ain't anywhere else to go for it because there's nowhere in the house I can put all this stuff.
Well, you see, myself and Chaz are going to have the problem this year that we've both got swags, which are quite large things generally to wonder about. Mine's in the shed at the minute, which I need to bring in the house, and I don't want it to spend. So it would get cold and below zero, and we'd get sort of black spots on the fabric, mildew kind of things.
Can I just point out to you that actually it's our swag, not your swag, and that if you wanted it to like have a place on the mezzanine floor, it could do, but you'd have to like, let go of it.
Okay, yeah.
And I know you're very fond of the swag.
I'm quite attached to it. Yes. So,
I've not yet actually had a go on it.
It's excellent. Check out Burke and Will's swags. I believe our discount might still work. Who knows?
I think it does. Yeah.
CCP 15.
15. I'll give you 15% off at Burke and Will's UK.
Ooh, tell you what, swagging it in. Ooh, I might take the swag when I go in there a few weeks' time. In November,
are you swagging in the van? You bought a van now, haven't you? Are you going to camp in the back of the van?
No, I'm not going to camp in the back of the van.
Okay.
It's quite claustrophobic. It's a small van, Tim.
Oh, I don't know. You're shorter than me.
I tell you, I think I'm losing this sort of giggle rattle at the minute. This back and forth is more a bit of a force and force.
Sorry, am I picking on you?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it feels like it.
All right.
I was going to say, so the van would look excellent with a roof tent on it.
Yes,
Being
it
influenced by Bella and her fella. It would look very nice on there. And I'm quite liking the Thule single kind of one. But when I checked out, can my vehicle have one? It said no. So I'm going to disregard that, to be honest.
I think that's a bit ridiculous. I mean, the half one by Thule is lighter. And it's a van. It's designed to take like loads of stuff on the roof. And
so there's
yeah.
I mean, not that I'm in any way, shape, or form able to go and buy a roof tent, but Thule, if you're listening and you want like somebody to go, will this go on a little van? Yeah.
Cool.
But anyway, I digress.
So back to your tents. The other thing I always do as well is I go around and I have a look at all my guy lines and make sure are any of those in need of replacing. And I do have coils of different guy lines in my garage for that purpose. It's so I do go around and just make sure are they all right? Can they just have a little bit taken off them, or actually, what are you laughing at me now? What are you laughing at?
You got lines of guy in you.
Go on, get it out your system.
No, I'm sorry. You just set me off with the giggles. You set me off with the giggles. No, you're perfectly right. And it's always worth, when you're drying a tent out, if you've been out and whatever, because I always like to neatly tie up my guy lines always. But remembering if they've been wet, they'll take longer to dry out if they're all knotted, so leave them unknotted. And similarly, the strung tent poles. It tends to be over winter that you lose some of that elasticity in those because they're not being used and stuff. So,
Mm, mm. Hadn't thought
mm.
about that. Hadn't thought about that. It's but yeah, anything else that you would do with your tents?
No, not really. I think what we've said before about where are they being stored, actually, if you've got the only place that they're going is in the shed, try and get them in a sealed container and try and get some of those silica gels in there. That'll
Mm,
stop the mildew getting to them. Get them in a plastic tub. If you've got nowhere else and they can't stay in their house, if space is a kind of premium and they are going to be in somewhere that'll get to minus figures, that'll just stop the mildew happening. Top tip, I
hmm.
think.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
You get
It,
those silica gels in everything. And I used to throw them away, but now I just put them in a little pot so that when I need them, I just like throw a load in. I'm also using things like my Yeti coolers to store things that I'm a bit nervous of getting sort of hot and cold, like, where mildew and stuff.
mm.
So, yeah, some of the stuff goes in there. Um,
I
and the
tend
other,
to. Sorry, I was just going to
oh, go
say
on.
on cool boxes. I had all my sort of cool. So my Stanley cool box, my soft cool box, and then I've now got two Stanley water butts. All of those things that are kind of will absolutely have got wet because I've had ice and everything else in them. I always store them with the lids open and stuff propped in. And actually, I kind of sit ones inside others so that it saves on storage, but helps to keep all the lids open and everything else, just so that air
Yeah.
circulates and it keeps
Yeah.
it nice and clean and ready for next year. Because the last thing you
Yeah.
want in anything like that is bugs growing in them and stuff like that.
Certainly, the kind of water tanks and stuff. Make sure that they're as dry as possible. And I used to, so I've got a little keg that I use for water sometimes. I
Hmm.
used to leave it upside down so all the water would drip out and stuff. But I learned in this summer that actually upside down condensation or wetness that's within there that won't drip out has nowhere to evaporate to. So you've got to get most of it out and then leave it open
Hmm.
with the lid off to then let it dry. And yeah, certainly for water containers and stuff like that, you don't want, it's always iffy when you've got like a camelback with a straw that you can't get all the water out. The straw kind of a
Yeah, yeah.
nightmare.
You got to get some Milton on that and some proper stuff to clean it out just to make sure you're safe.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't always do that, I have to admit, but there's the advice for you. Make
There's the
sure you
advice.
sterilize it and make sure stuff like that
Cer-
is nice and clean.
yeah, certainly for water and stuff. Who the hell wants Legionellas? You know.
Mm. Yeah, no,
Mm.
no, or E.
Um,
coli or anything like that. I then always go through my storage boxes and just because throughout the first camping trip of the year, I'll kind of fill up, particularly my food one. There'll be snacks and all sorts of bits in there, and then each time I don't eat everything when I come back, and I don't tend to take stuff out. I tend to just top up each time I go throughout the year. It's good this time of year to actually get that stuff out and go, actually, what stuff has expired because some of it will
mm,
have done. What stuff actually is just like gone to mush because it's maybe got too hot at one point, and stuff that needs chucking, stuff that actually it's dry, it's okay, it's still in its wrapper, it's in a really good date. I can store that somewhere else, and it'll do good for next year. So just go through your food stuff and make sure that everything that needs chucking is chucked, and
yeah,
give it a really
yeah.
good clean, because your food storage boxes always get a bit sticky and a bit mucky, and I don't always clean that box after each camping trip. As I say, I tend to just top it up with extra stuff. I've noticed today it's a bit sticky, so I've given it a good clean.
Hey. I Yeah, I think it's a very good top tip, is that. And then I was going to say, so there's something that I've started to realize, as we've all got batteries for things, rechargeable stuff. anything that's got a rechargeable battery needs to be insulated if it's somewhere that goes below zero. So apparently it really reduces, cold weather really reduces the lifespan of your battery packs if they go below freezing.
Hmm.
So yeah, if you've got some rechargeable lights, you've got some battery packs, or whatever those things are, get them in your cool boxes. Just get them insulated so that they're not going to feel the coldest things. Wrap them up, put something around them, whatever that is. It'll just give you another couple of
That's a
keep the
that's a
lifespan
really
of them.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good tip because it's not something I always think about, and I realise I've got an electronics bag that's got all my stuff in it. That again, I don't take all of it, but it's where it lives in the garage.
Mm.
I could probably do with going through that and just making sure. And actually, some of those things actually take like AA batteries. I need to go through those and make sure I take the AA's out because otherwise they'll go all sticky and horrible by next year.
Yeah.
It Yeah, and actually putting it in your cool box, that's a really good idea because it's utilizing extra storage. Yeah.
Insulating and
Mm.
but yeah, there might, I don't think, do they need to breathe batteries? I was
No, I
just
don't think
thought,
so. Don't think
yeah.
so.
Um,
I'm really boring here, but I've got a thing of new batteries, and then I've got a box of partly used batteries, and then old batteries obviously go. But it's like batteries that you've used like once on one thing, and you've taken them out. But it's like I don't want them to mix up with the new batteries. But I know that if I need a battery for like something just really short, I know those batteries will probably be all right for one thing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then need
yeah,
smacking. So I kind of keep them in there. So I take those out and stick them in the part used battery box. You
yeah.
can see
Well,
how anally retentive my garage is.
uh,
It's not actually; it's carnage. It's complete. It's a complete mess, but
well, it
it's
gets
it's
like
my
that.
mess.
And that's the thing. I've got some really good storage in my sheds, but it's a bit hammer time at the minute. It's a bit all over the place, so I need to as I've grabbed things and gone camping and then shoved them back. It gets out of order stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
This is
the
the
other
perfect
thing,
time to just reorganize your
yeah,
organization, isn't it? And just
know where stuff is.
yeah,
Yeah.
get it all out, put it
Um,
all back away properly.
you mentioned earlier, I think before we came on recording, about the fact that you to organise your gas bottles.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had an incident
Oh,
uh, a couple of weekends ago. I was at a nephew's birthday party, and I'd taken some camping stuff. We were going to do a bit of outdoor kind of stuff, make some s'mores and things. And I'd taken three canisters that were, I thought they were okay, but like wouldn't boil individually wouldn't boil a pan of water because
gosh.
they were all like dog ends of them. And I was just like, why am I like, we're also really scared of throwing away these things because they've got gas in them, but not bloody useful gas if it won't boil
No,
a can of water.
no,
Can,
no.
can.
Can. Yeah,
So,
well, you might be
yeah,
boiling in a can. You might be bushcrafting. It's
you know,
I go through my gas and I'm a bit brutal. I have bought one of those things where you can transfer over. I've had really poor success with that. I need to have another go with it at some point, see if I can see if there's a technique to it, but I really don't think there is. I think it's a case of you make the canister, the receiving canister, as cold as you can by keeping it in the freezer for ages, and you warm up the giving canister so the pressure in that is higher, and you put that
mm,
in the sun so it's nice and warm, and then you connect them together via the device and open the valve up, and it's allegedly meant to take the gas from the warm one into the cold one so that you can then top it up. I
yeah.
don't think it really works. It's a bit hit and miss. I'm a little bit brutal, really. I don't ever want that situation where you've gone somewhere and you realise, oh, I thought there was more in that, and so actually, I do puncture them, and then I flatten them with a lump hammer and I chuck them. It's
But have you noticed when you puncture them?
mm,
it's like there's millions of gas
Oh
in there.
yeah,
It
yeah,
hangs
yeah,
around like it was
absolutely.
like somebody left like 3 days later. It was like, oh
Yeah,
God, I'm still
yeah,
stinking gas.
yeah,
Um, and it's ridiculous because
yeah,
so I think that's why I keep a hold of them, because they were like, oh, there must have been more in there than I thought there was. I'm still
yeah,
not invested in those little gaslight tea light kind of things that you just put on and get them going.
yeah,
I need to do. They're
yeah.
gonna go. They're gonna go
I
on a Christmas list.
Yeah, I'd like one of those as well, because actually then they're perfect for that little bit of gas that's of no use to do anything else with, but actually it'll make a really nice little lantern.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
did you see I saw something. I've been doing a lot of internet trawling while I've been off work, but did you see the that Snowpeak had brought out um power banks that are shaped like gas canisters?
No, I
Have you not seen
didn't.
those? Yeah,
No.
I have to say they're really cool. And then they've also obviously brought their own light that then sits and clips on top, so it looks like a gas canister with a gas burner light on top. But it's
Oh,
not. It's all battery powered, and you can then obviously plug other things into them. But they do the two different size gas canisters for it, and
wow.
it just they look really cool. They look really cool.
Yeah.
Something really, really different that you're not going to see anywhere else. I think at
And
the moment they're
that's
only in Japan, but
yeah.
they'll come over
You,
eventually.
Well, they released something the other day, and you could already get it on Amazon Japan. So if you didn't mind paying for the shipping and
Mm.
things, it was a similar price.
Mm.
I think that's what I love about companies like Snow Peak, BioLite. They push the boundaries. They change what
Yeah.
people have been doing, or come up with a different idea. I think that's the thing that I really love about them. And, other people copy, imitate, it's a good form of flattery, isn't it? They say.
Mm.
But, I do like the fact that they think outside the box a little bit and change things up quite a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
They were
going to get off recording this and go and have a little look.
yeah, they were really, really, really nice bits of kit. I thought they were quite cool. I'm surprised I didn't send you the link, but who knows? Who
Well,
knows? Who knows?
you've
You don't
you've
answer
been
my
all over
messages
the shop,
anyway.
Tim.
I literally have.
Uh,
The main thing though, going back to gas, is disconnect it from your stoves. If depends
yes.
what your system is, but if it's a little burner on top of a gas stove, if you're leaving that on there, you can guarantee, even though you've tightened everything off, it'll leak. Um, disconnect it all, take it all off. You should have kept the little plastic caps for your gas canisters. If the butane, propane
Yeah. Protect
ones,
them.
stick that back on so you don't get any dust in the actual valve. If you're using a different gas system where you're using a regulator and hoses, check your hose because they don't last forever. And don't be tempted to try and do maintenance on stuff like that. Just smack it out, and get it new, because it's just not worth the risk with gas. It's really not worth the
Yeah.
risk. For a bit of rubber hose pipe and a new regulator, it ain't a lot. And you want to just throw that stuff out. If you bought something like that secondhand, you really should be smacking those bits away so that you can trust the bit of equipment that you're using, and it's not gonna cause you any harm when you're actually using it, or hurt somebody else for that matter. It's
Mm.
but just go through your gas stuff. Those little gas burners that live in like a briefcase that take like an aerosol
Oh
canister
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
side. I personally never kept one of those longer than 12 months because they never really lasted, and I never trusted it after it had gone through a winter of being stored. So, and they're only like
Yeah.
$15, £15. I'd smack them away and just buy a new one next year.
I like you smack them away
Smack it
turn of
out.
phrase.
Well, you can't recycle that, can you? What are you going to do? This is knackered, but I'm going to give it to you.
You'd be surprised at how many of those things get given into charity shops.
I bet. And you
Uh,
can't. I bet you can't do anything with them, can you?
no,
No,
not at
no,
all.
no.
It's
Recycle it, people. There's a lot of metal in there. The recycle
yeah,
people will absolutely take that stuff.
yeah. And yet we've got friends that have had theirs for years. We even got a double burner one.
See, I made the mistake of buying a double burner one, and within the first year, one of the burners stopped working. It was like, well, now I just look like an arse. I look like I brought out
Get the second burner on, Tim. Stop being cheap.
Yeah, exactly. You get it out the car, you look like you brought a keyboard with you. It's like,
well, hey up, sniper.
No. I'm just boiling water.
No, just boiling water, but only on one ring.
One ring only. Sniper. See, this is the difference between us. I go, oh, I brought a keyboard. You go, sniper rifle.
Sniper rifle. Oh dear. Well, I think
oh man, that's funny.
We've talked and giggled long enough. I hope that everybody's enjoyed this episode.
Before you close the doors on the episode, I was going to say let's have a little chat to see if we can twist some people's arms to do what we like in that actually get out winter camping. So you don't have to put all your stuff away now if you don't want to. You don't have to clean it all, pack it all away, put it all away, wave goodbye to it for 5-6 months. You could actually.
It doesn't want to go. It doesn't want to go.
It doesn't. It wants to go camping next weekend. It wants
to
go
stopping
camping
it
the weekend after that. Yeah. You need to facilitate your camping gear getting out in the field. Yeah. So if you've only got summer stuff, have a little think about what, you don't have to go the whole hog and get a tent stove and start cutting holes in your tent. You don't even have to go and buy other equipment necessarily. You don't have to go and buy another tent. Not everybody has to be Ed and Tim and have, ridiculous numbers of tents each.
Yeah. Agreed.
You can, but we had a really good message off somebody on one of our socials this week that thanked us for getting them into camping, and that we'd given some really good advice about borrowing stuff, and I was like gobsmacked that somebody had actually thought we'd given good advice, but actually it turned out I do remember us giving that advice. I remember it. It's and they had actually followed it, and they'd gone and found someone who had a load of camping stuff, and they'd borrowed it, and they'd gone out camping for the first time. They'd had a fantastic time. And they're going to go to the expense of buying their own stuff now, which is absolutely brilliant.
Good way to test it, eh?
Good way to test it. Do the same for winter camping. So if you know someone who does go winter camping, have a chat to them and just say, I'd really like to do winter camping. What, have you got anything that I could borrow? Or, if you got multiples of stuff and I could come with you and I could kind of learn how to do it.
Can I come with you? Have you got space in your tent? You're forever sort of having people in your tent.
Who were?
Thought I'd just let that drop.
I'm a sociable kind of guy.
You are. But yeah, definitely.
Wants to join me in my tent. Just put your name on a stamped down envelope. Again, we haven't given you an address.
Just an area.
Oh, damn it. It's
I think that's the thing. If you are packing stuff away, pack it away well, but actually you don't need to. And this January we went camping, and you decided that you actually just wanted to be in your normal tent without a tent stove or anything, and you kind of forget that actually, if it's going to be -10. You've got to be quite sensible. It wasn't going to be -10. It was going to be about 0. You've got a good sleeping bag. You're going to be okay when you stop moving around or be near a fire. And that's there. And it really I'd got a little bit comfortable in I need a tent stove and I need this and I need that. And then I thought, actually, no, I don't. Yeah, you just reminded me of that. Just make sure you're warm in the night. You've got enough that'll do that. There's even, get a hot water bottle. Keep yourself warm with that. But
just remember that you lose the vast majority of your heat to the ground. So even if you've got like lots of blankets and stuff on top of you, make sure you've got those layers underneath you as well. And when I did do that camping trip in January with my North Face tent, I had 2 self-inflating sleeping mats, one of which has got a high R rating, so its thermal properties are really good. And actually, I was absolutely fine. I didn't feel cold at all. I had a really good night's sleep. It's it was good to do. It was good to kind of remind myself that I haven't had a tent stove for that long, and would quite happily not necessarily do the January camping trips, but I would do the shoulder seasons of spring and autumn stroke fall, and it's fine to do that. I mean, it was good to go to take that equipment out in January and actually see what it was like. And it was good. I did take a decent tarp, because actually, if you're taking a smaller tent, the weather might not be great. You do need that little bit of area to sit out in that is going to be dry, that you can cook in, that you can do all of those bits. So I did take a decent tarp, and you can pick up not a decent tarp, but you can pick up a tarp that's actually quite cheap.
Yeah,
get yourself to an
definitely.
army surplus store or something like that, and they'll do you something that's really, really cheap. So yeah, it's just think about extra layers. You don't necessarily need to go and invest in a really expensive sleeping bag that'll take you down to -10. Take an extra quilt from home. Take some extra blankets from home. Just take some more stuff, wear a few more layers so that you can take some off when you get warm. You can add them back on. It's invest. One thing I do, even with the hot tent, is I take proper base layers, so proper thermal base layers that I've had for donkey's years from my skiing days, and but they're great to wear on a night in the sleeping bag, because actually you just got that proper layer around you that's keeping you nice and warm. It's just about thinking about those little bits that make it more comfortable. You don't have to go to the expense of getting a massive tent and a tent stove and all this other stuff. And although a gas heater, I mean, that was pretty impressive to see on Jason's setup,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I liked
Yeah.
what he'd done with the fire actually as well. He got a proper fire ring, and he'd gone to the trouble, thankfully, he'd been really sensible of brushing away all the leaves and the debris from the forest floor, a good sort of 6 foot away all the way around, so that if any sparks came out, there was no risk of setting fire to anything. It was a really, really good little camping setup he's got. If you haven't seen the clip, go and find it on our socials, because it's well worth a look.
Yeah, it really
and
is.
He might make you cry too, like you did, Aid.
I might have been over emotional on beer. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Well, let's jump away to a minute mindfulness to see if we can twist your arm into getting out this autumn and doing a bit of camping, and or at least you can listen to it while you're putting stuff away.
Welcome to the Casual Camping 1 Minute Mindfulness. Let the sounds of the outdoors take you back to the camping field.
Fantastic.
I'm going.
I wish I was going. I really wish I was going, but it's the end of my camping season this year. So hopefully hopefully next year I'll get all my stuff and I'll be joining you in a field somewhere. But yeah, so in the meantime, you have to go on my behalf, take loads of
Okay.
pictures. I mean, you went a
Yeah.
few weeks ago, didn't you? And you put some of the pictures on you made a leg of
Yeah.
lamb again. Oh my God.
Leg of lamb.
That looked so nice.
Once again, it was a bit of, chopping up everything, getting the fire sorted, went to the pub, came back. Let's get that. And you know what I've realised is when you cut up meat on a chopping board, it goes really cold quickly. Whereas I think I need to put it back in the pan and just keep it on the kind of simmer so that it's all just still nice and warm, or get one of those like little tea light warmer things. Just to keep it going.
You could do with a like a tripod thing with one of those chains where you can actually lift it a bit higher so it's not going to cook anymore, but it's still sat in the heat of the fire.
Yeah,
It's,
something
like that.
something like some thingy majig.
No,
right.
Cool. Did look nice. Cool. Well, thank you very much for letting us have our pause. We are going to pause for another couple of weeks after this because I am managing to get away. Not camping, but I am managing to get away and get some relaxation, which is nice. And then we'll come back in another sort of 2-3 weeks with another episode.
We will indeed. Thanks for the loan of your ears. And remember, we're on socials. We would love to see videos of your next camping setup, how you put stuff out, and yeah.
Cool. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.